I'm Sarah. I'm a certified financial planner, a registered financial planner, and a chartered financial divorce specialist. This video is for my farm families who are separating. So you've decided to end a marriage and you're also transitioning a farm to your children. And that really is a complex thing to work through. And I want to tell you how I work through that with clients and why I think it's important that you take a look at multiple things at the same time and you don't actually split them into separate conversations and separate transactions. And what I mean by that is it can be a little bit tempting sometimes to try to work out a separation agreement and then worry about how you're going to transition to the next generation, and then worry about your estate plan, especially if you have some children on the farm, some children off farm. I think just because of the complexity, I've met with potential clients who initially come in and say, this is what's happening. We have decided to end our marriage and we need to renegotiate what that looks like, and how are we dividing the things that we have. We're going to do that piece first, and then we're going to talk about the transition, and then we're going to worry about the estate. And here's why I think it's important to really carry on all three of those conversations at the same time. To summarize the importance, if you don't carry on all three conversations at the same time, you're actually going to end up with paperwork that contradicts each other. You're going to end up with documents that contradict each other when you look at them all together. I think you are leaving yourself open to both confusion and regret 3 to 5 years down the road after you've made the separation agreement. And I think you're not really going to get to your goals. I think even though you have decided to end a marriage, there's probably a lot of goals that you still have in common. And when I talk to my farm families in this situation, the two biggest goals in common are you each want to be financially stable and you want the farm operation to continue to be viable. And those are huge goals, and they are goals that you still share. And if you split up these conversations, you're not going to get to that goal. And it is possible to work out all of those things and get them all done at the same time. It takes time. Any of those transactions take time on their own. And my role in helping clients in that situation, as a chartered financial divorce specialist, my role in the separation conversation is to collect and organize your documents, explain what the documents mean, and then give you options for division. And specifically around farms, when you transition, particularly to a child, it's often not at market value. And so when we look just specifically at your separation agreement, it's important that that document include the market value and then include clauses about what are you transitioning at though. So what are you letting go of this asset? You're not doing it at market value. And in my opinion, it's important that your separation agreement has both of those numbers, and that gives you an opportunity to include why you've made this decision. And that's important, I think, for everybody involved. And that's why you want to do the transition plan in conjunction with that separation agreement. If you have incorporated any part of your farm operation, you're also going to need to change the shareholders agreement. So again, we've got another legal document that needs to line up with everything else that you've decided. So your shareholders agreement, your separation agreement, and your will need to all say the same thing so that you're not creating uncertainty and confusion either in yourself or in your children or in your beneficiaries. So as a chartered financial divorce specialist, that's where I help with the separation conversation. And again, mainly around giving you options. How might you divide this? What options do you have? Is it a one-time payout? Is it over time? What do both of those look like? And what do they mean, not only for you individually, but for the farm operation? And so that piece, again, these are two connected to try to pull apart into separate transactions. As a certified financial planner and a registered financial planner, the work that I do really in that space is more around the long-term planning. For all of my separation clients, they worry not only about the transactions that are going to happen in the separation itself, but also they have questions around what happens the moment after I sign that agreement. Am I going to be financially stable? Maybe you were uncertain about what your retirement looked like before the separation or before you transitioned the farm. And so now to add uncertainty onto that, in my opinion, it's important that you're clear on that. And so for my clients, I can do those projections. And I can say, if you have this much income, this is what's affordable. Or if you have these assets, here's how you draw an income off them. So again, in both the separation conversation and the transition conversation, you need to understand not only what does it look like today, but what does it look like over time. And so the people that need to know that are really the people who are separating. They each need to understand what are the options being financially independent from the other one. And then if we have a child or children taking over the farm, what does their situation look like? Given a transition conversation, how is that happening? Is there any debt that they're taking on? Is there more debt that they're taking on? How are the parents taking value, taking finances out of the farm? What does that look like? And then there's the farm itself. So the farm as an operation, how is it going to remain viable? How is that farm going to replace equipment? How is it going to service its debt? How is it going to support all these other players? So I think you can see, even in, there's never a simple situation, but even in a situation where we have two parents separating, one child taking over the farm, we really have four separate entities, right? We've got mom, dad, child, and farm. And so all of those have their own financial needs. And to look at them in isolation is not going to get you to the best possible outcome. And so I do want you to know, if you are in that situation, it is possible to get advice that really still maintains the goals that you have in common and maintains the viability of the farm. Thanks so much for listening. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, I would love to talk to you further about your situation.